Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Healed and Chilled. And today we have yet another awesome and amazing, wonderful special guest. And you guys know how I like to do it here. I like for the guest to have control of the narrative. So, if you would, in your own words, from your own point of view, can you introduce yourself and we'll dive right into the interview?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me, Yana. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show and to hopefully help people who are interested in book publishing make some informed decisions and go about it the right way. My name is Michele DeFilippo. I own the company 1106 Design, and we help authors self-publish a top quality book without a so-called publisher so that they can
Mm.
keep control of their book, earn more money, and avoid the stress of trying to self-publish on their own.
And I've interacted with a lot of authors lately, and everybody wants to get published. Everybody wants that deal. So can you talk about like why there might be alternative options?
Well, sure. Self-publishing has grown exponentially since it started around
Hmm.
1995. So everyone knows somebody who either has published or wants to publish a book. But the instinct for most people when they finish writing their book is, I have to find a publisher. But
Right.
that's actually not true. Self-publishing means the author is the publisher. And so that message has been buried lately. It's been forgotten. And
Mm.
there are some good publishers, of course, as there are in any business, but there are also some not so good publishers. And so what would like to do is talk about the differences so that people can spot the good from the bad and make decisions that are going to serve them and not just leave them in the lurch.
Absolutely. So, can you expand a little bit more about like what you do and what that actually means for someone who's maybe like, okay, I have my book now and weighing all the different options and how can you be of service?
Sure. My company again is 1106 Design, and you can find us at 1106design.com. We have helped authors publish more than 4,000 books in their own name,
Wow.
in their own name without using a publisher. So I need to start, if you don't mind, by just going over the three most common publishing models. The first model is what
Hmm.
we all think of as publishing, and that is traditional publishing. That's what has been the norm for hundreds of years. Under that model, the author pays nothing. The publisher buys the rights to produce the book. The publisher spends all the money on the experts to produce that book. And then when a book is sold, the publisher pays the author a small royalty, keeping most of the revenue from sales for itself. Now, that's not unfair since they made the investment, right? Now, in today's marketplace, we have many hybrid publishers. You've probably heard the term hybrid publisher, self-publishing companies, independent publishing companies. And what they do is they charge the author to produce the book, and they also take money out of the author's pocket when the book is sold. So that doesn't work out too well for authors. The real way to self-publish a book is to be the publisher yourself, like I said, and there are many companies like mine that can help you with the services you need to produce a great book, and we don't take money out of your pocket when the book is sold. So that's really the message that's been buried in a whole lot of misinformation in the last 20 years.
Absolutely. And so, can you dive a little bit deeper into what exactly publishing is for authors? Because I know that a lot of people might be looking to get into writing but there's all of these different things. And like, as a publisher, the same thing as a printer, or is there a difference?
No, there is a difference. I mean, publishing in its simplest definition just means making your book available to the public. That's it.
Okay.
But you do need services to prepare a good book because when people buy books, just like when they buy anything else, they're spending their hard-earned money.
Hmm.
They want to get their money's worth. And so if you release a book that's not well designed or well formatted in the interior, if it's not well edited and it has mistakes and typos and so forth, people get annoyed at that. And the first thing they do is
Hmm.
jump online and post a bad review. So you can't get rid of those reviews as much as you would like to. So in
Hmm.
order to avoid that problem, the foundation of every good book publishing project is to produce a good book that people will not only enjoy personally, but recommend it to their friends and followers online. And that's the way you build word of mouth and you get good reviews and you can actually do something meaningful with your book.
Absolutely. And thank you for clarifying. So, can you detail like why you decided to go in this route and helping authors publish and where you felt like, okay, this is something that needs to be done?
Well, actually, I started out in the publishing business way back in 1972. It was my
Oh, wow.
first job. It was my first job at Crown Publishing in New York, where I grew up. And it was purely
Okay.
an accident. It was the first company that offered me a job, so I said yes. And that's how I got into the publishing industry. And I loved it right from the very beginning because every project was different, every author was different, and it was just a great, fun way to make a living without getting bored, right? So
Mm,
that went along. I worked in publishing and also at advertising agencies in New York for about 7 years. And then my husband at the time and I decided we were going to move to Phoenix, Arizona, where my grandparents lived. And we were young and didn't do a whole lot of thinking about it. We assumed it would be just as easy to find a job in Phoenix as it was in New York, and that didn't turn out to be the
mm.
case. So, so I found myself in Phoenix not able to earn any more than minimum wage, and so
Mm,
that was really discouraging. So one thing led to another, and we wound up opening a typesetting business at the time. That was in 1980, and that lasted for 13 years until Steve
okay.
Jobs put me out of business. He
Oh,
he put every typesetting business out of business with the invention of the
mm,
Macintosh. So that was not a
fair.
fun time, but
Yeah.
I went back to freelancing, which I had done quite a bit of previously. And then around 19, like I said, 1995 to 2000 period, that's when the whole world changed with computers and the internet, right?
Mm,
Amazon came on the scene selling at first only books. And for the
hmm.
first time ever, Amazon made it possible for people to publish a book without a publisher. And so
Yep.
the field just exploded, and I saw that there was opportunity there. I joined the Arizona Book Publishers Association and just decided to start helping authors because it was where my experience was. And it's been great ever since. But you know, at first, authors understood that they needed quality services to produce a book. And they understood that they were to be the publisher of the book, which was the greatest opportunity for authors ever, because they didn't have anyone telling them what to do, changing their book, um,
Mm,
taking their revenue from sales. So it was awesome at first, but then over time we started seeing self-publishing companies, and we started seeing now we see the self-publishing companies quickly got a bad reputation, and so they rebranded themselves, and now they call themselves hybrid publishers. And so
mm.
there's good and bad, of course, like in every business. But the key thing for authors to remember is that if a publisher charges you to produce a book and they also take revenue out of your pocket on the back end when a book is sold, they'll typically pay you in quote unquote a royalty. That's one of the red flags. You need to look deeper and find out
Mm,
what's really happening. Now, some hybrid publishers actually participate financially in the project with the author. For example, they'll charge the author for the editing and design services, but then they'll pay for the marketing of the book out of their pocket. And in that case,
mm.
it's perfectly fair for them to share some of the revenue. But there's also publishers in the space now that charge the author for every single thing. They have no
Oh, wow.
financial investment whatsoever in the book, and yet they're still taking money out of the author's pocket when the book is sold. Even the ones who claim to pay you at 100% royalty. So that's been our focus, is to educate authors about that. They may still decide to go that route for any number of reasons, but we just want them to be able to understand what's happening, with
Right.
information that they may not think to ask about, and then they can make whatever decision they think is best for them.
Absolutely. So, how would an author know, or like, okay, I should probably go work with you guys, or some, like, what is there like an ideal client that you work with, a specific type of author, or is it just like anyone who's ready to publish a book and wants to do it the right way?
Oh, no, as you can imagine, after doing 4,000 books, we've worked for all sorts of people and just about every kind of book you can imagine, from children's books to a recent project was a 600-page epic poem
Oh, wow.
from an author who had been writing it for 40 years and he finally decided to publish.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was a really interesting job and an interesting author. We did an 850-page biography of Winston Churchill a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we've seen it all, and our belief is that just about any book can be fixed up, right? So you don't have to be 100% an expert. You don't have to be an experienced writer. That's what editors do. They clean up that manuscript and make it
Mm,
presentable, and then designers take over and give it a nice package. So that's the services we provide. And then we help people to upload the book files to their own print on demand accounts. Now, print on demand means you don't pay for the printing of the book until it's actually sold, which is great.
right.
That was another earthquake in the publishing industry, because before that, authors had to print several thousand books and hope to sell them. But that's not true.
Sheesh.
That's not true anymore. So through that process, we get your book uploaded to the two major print on demand platforms, which are KDP.com and IngramSpark.com. And that feeds your book to the entire book world: Amazon channels, physical bookstores, libraries, other distributors, and so forth. And so we handle all of those steps for you. It's what we do every day.
Mm,
So you don't have to get mired in the details. You don't have to manage 6 or 7 freelancers to get everything done. All you need to do is give us a call and send us your manuscript, and we'll take care of that for you.
absolutely. And that definitely sounds like a really helpful solution where you have like the design aspect, you have the editing and things. And I know a lot of times there are barriers that people have when it comes to doing something, like writing a book, for example. Maybe they're like, oh, well, I have this idea and I have it written down, but I'm dyslexic and I don't my spelling might be off or I don't know an artist. So you provide like a full ecosystem is what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's full service. And I think a lot of times that's why authors go to publishers, because they recognize that they need that full service and they think they have to get it from a publisher, but that's not the case. There are plenty of people just like us who can help you with the services you need without taking money out of your pocket on the back end.
And I also think that that's helpful because it allows you to still scale at the same time, but you know what you're paying, basically.
Yes,
So that,
absolutely. And there's the thing, of course, there's a lot of bad stories, where publishers promise to do many things and then don't deliver, or they never pay the royalties that were promised. And so
mm,
our position is always that the author should keep full control of the
mm,
entire process and the book files. Some of these publishers will hang on to the book files if the author wants to part ways with them. And even though the author paid them to produce those files, they will not relinquish
mm.
them, and the author would have to start over. So that's one of the bad,
Wow.
yeah, that's one of the bad practices in the industry. So that's why you should always control your publishing enterprise.
Mm. Yes. Wow. That's wow. But I know that in every industry has its challenges, but I definitely didn't know about that in like the book realm. So another question is, what made you decide that, okay, I see that there's an opening here and I see that there's these problems, but why did you decide to say, hey, you know what? I want to be the solution to this. I don't want to be a part of the problem, part of taking money out of the hands of the authors and things. What made you decide that I want to do my business differently?
Well, because I've been in the publishing industry for so long, it was
Hmm.
just offensive to me that anybody would be out there not only sometimes producing terrible books, but also
Mm.
taking advantage of author ignorance, right? I mean, sometimes
Mm.
business gets a bad name, rightfully, right? But a business should educate its customers. It shouldn't take advantage of their lack of knowledge. So just on a personal level, it offended me that that was going on, and it was an area I was experienced in, and I knew I could make a difference. And so that's what we're doing, one author at a time.
Yes. So, can you share what the process is, as much as possible? Like, okay, someone goes to your website and then they call and like just in general, what can an author expect when they work with you?
Sure. First, I should start by saying what they can't expect, and that is high
Okay.
pressure tactics. And, if you go to our website at 1106design.com, the first step is to fill out a contact form there, provide us with some details about yourself and your book, and then we'll get in touch by telephone and have a human to human conversation and learn more about what you want to do and what your book is about, and how long it is and so forth. And then we'll send you a proposal and we'll discuss that with you on the telephone as well, if needed. It's not automated publishing, right? You'll go to some publishing websites and you have to pick a package and you have to,
Hmm.
just it's not personal. We like the personal service, not only for you, but for us, because we love books and
Right.
we want to make a good book for you. So, if you contact us, I promise we will not start sending you 5 emails a day until you sign up. We don't do business that way. It's just person to person here. So
Absolutely.
let's say you sign up with us. The first step is typically copy editing and cover design. The first two steps, those tasks can happen simultaneously, where the editor is polishing up your manuscript and the cover designer is coming up with cover concepts for you to look at. And then after that comes typesetting. Now, that's a word that has been forgotten. People
Mhm.
call it people call it formatting now, but the pages of a book, there's a whole science to creating those interior pages of a book so that the reading experience is not distracted and it's easy on the eyes, and
Mm.
it helps people focus on the message and not on the particular formatting. So
Oh,
it
wow.
it it sounds crazy in today's world, but we spend a lot of time worrying about the spacing of the lines and the letters and the space between the words and all of those
Mm.
things. That's traditional, excuse me, that's traditional typesetting, as major publishers still do it every day. The only people who do formatting are independent publishers, authors who haven't been educated about the difference. You shouldn't typeset your manuscript in Word. You shouldn't use Vellum or any of these other
Oh, wow.
programs that and see, that's part of the problem too, because there are people out there that recommend these programs either because they don't know or they're just willing to tell authors what they want to hear. I don't know what the reason is, but
Mm.
the interior of your book needs to be properly typeset for it to look credible and to be impressive to the reader. Okay, so
Wow.
after typesetting, then we proofread your book from scratch, every word, because
Mm.
sometimes errors that are easily detectable after typesetting, just they don't show up in the Word file. But once the text is
Mm.
properly typeset, then they stand out like a sore thumb. So we proofread the manuscript. Then we upload your files to the print on demand platforms and get you set up with all the distribution options that you want. And we explain everything about that. It can sound daunting, but it's really not once somebody explains it to you. There's some factors involved that will help you pick an appropriate retail price so that the
Mm.
retailer is going to get their cut. You can't help that. You're going to have to pay for the book. You can't
Yeah.
help. You're going the printing of the book. You can't help that. But we want you to be able to make a decent profit when the book sells, and so we can give you all the advice you need about that. And while you're waiting, we also ask people, once we've uploaded their files to the print platforms, that you order a proof delivered to yourself, a physical book, and give it a good final close look before we activate that distribution for you. It's just helpful to hold in your hand the product that the
Mm.
customer is going to get, right? make sure it's final and correct. And while all that's not going on, we're working on your ebook, and then we will upload the ebook files as well. So at the end of the process, your book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, all the online retailers, and it's also available for physical bookstores to order. Yeah, should someone walk in and want to order the book. So it's a long process. It's very detailed. We
Hmm.
probably spend 100 hours start to finish on working on that book for you. So it's a lot, but we love it and we love the final product and we hope you will too.
Absolutely. Something that you said, I want to dive a little bit more into as well, is just because my mind was like, oh, that sounds fascinating, is typesetting. And I didn't realize that there was like a science and like a method to like the books. I always just in my mind I guess it was just like Word and you did the middle font, like, when you format it and it's in the middle. I thought it was just like middle alignment and you just go and paste. So, if you don't mind, can you go a little bit more into like some of like the science and like the artistry? Because I this is my first time ever hearing about that.
Sure. Well, if you were to take 10 books off your bookshelf, you would see that the interior pages are all different. They're all designed
Hmm.
differently. Different fonts might be used, different chapter openers, chapter headings, whatever that book contains, subheadings and so forth. And that all has to be thought about. So the first step before even typesetting happens is to show the author design samples. And so we come up
Mm.
with different ways that your book might look, and we work back and forth with you to, so it's a collaborative process. It's never a matter of us telling you what to do. It's always a friendly collaboration so that the final product speaks to you,
Hmm.
not just to us. So when we work with a traditional publisher, we might work through 10, 15 interior design samples before they're happy
Mm.
with the look and feel of the text. There's a lot of things to consider. We'll hear from authors all the time who try to do it themselves, and then they find out when they try
Hmm.
to upload the files that the printers have rejected them for any
Mm.
number of reasons. And so if you work with somebody who does this for a living, you'll avoid all of that stress and heartache.
Yes, and the world we live in, less stress is always best.
That's right. Sometimes
Oh,
you might do
the
it.
next question. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no. I was going to say sometimes, well, there's just people don't know, right? And so sometimes you have authors and companies who are looking out more for themselves, giving authors advice that really no one in the industry with any experience would offer. So just try to, if you can, try to find somebody who's worked in the industry for a
Mm.
long time, not somebody who just opened a publishing company because they think there's a financial incentive to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And I was just talking to one of my friends today about like we were it was like showing me these different like photographers and look at this person's charging X, Y, and Z versus that. And I'm like, well, it's like, but if you're used to the industry, then you know what the price model should be for this particular service. So if you're used to the industry, then you know what is supposed to be expected when you work with this type of person or this
Yeah.
profession. So I think it's very important that you highlighted, especially now. There's especially with like social media and the internet, it's so easy to get lost in all the different things that are going on. And someone can post a website and instantly and say, hey, look, I have this business and this is what I do. And I'm going to give you this deal, this deal, this deal. And you think you're getting the world. And then later you realize that you got, messed up in the process. So I think you highlighting, get someone that has experience, that knows what to do. And clearly you're very knowledgeable. It's important. So I'm curious to know, like, what have you heard from different authors? Like, once they worked with you, instead of going at it alone or working with another publishing company and getting gypped in the end, like, have you heard any stories?
Oh my gosh, all the time, every week, every week. You'll find a lot of great reviews on our website from authors who didn't understand at the beginning just how involved the process is, and so most of the
Hmm.
reviews on our website will say, "I had no idea how much time we were going to spend together." So it's just like any job, right? I mean, you know your job, but you don't know someone else's job from the inside out. And so
Hmm.
the same is true of book publishing. There's plenty to know that you just wouldn't be aware of. And it's like I said, it's unfortunate that some companies are taking advantage of that lack of knowledge. And another unfortunate thing is that these companies know how to dominate the search engines. So you're likely to find them first
Mm.
before you find us. And so that's really frustrating. I'm not the only person out there who has real publishing experience and is very frustrated by that.
Yeah, and the digital age is definitely adds a lot of nuances to everything because if you're not at the top searching, then they might miss you. But at least you're doing the podcast, you're getting
Yeah.
that message out there, and at the end of the day, the reviews help and word of mouth. And I think that that's what's so important about having communities and talking to people and building those
Yes.
connections because I've learned much more about publishing and things before. I thought it was just printing and you put it on the site and boom. So now I know there's a whole process. So how does it feel to be able to um, help authors in that capacity? Like you're doing something that you love, working with books, but then you're also making a way for people who might have been lost without your services.
Yeah, it's really gratifying work, I have to say. I mean, and like I said, I've been in the business since 1972, so I'll be 73 soon, so I must
No
like my job.
way.
I must like my job. No,
Oh, wow.
it is wonderful to help authors and like I said, there's no boredom because every project is different. So it's just
Mhm.
it couldn't be more gratified, more blessed to have been
Mm.
able to literally stumble into this industry. I did nothing to make it come about. I just took that first
Mm.
job. It's really
Wow.
kind of a miracle, really.
Yeah, it's interesting how life plays out.
Yeah.
So we are coming up a little bit on the tail end. However, I do still have questions. But, but if is there anything that you specifically wanted to discuss or highlight that you haven't yet had the opportunity to do so?
Yeah, just quickly, there are four red flags that authors can spot and that they might be dealing with a not so good publisher. The first is anybody who promises you a free ISBN means they're publishing your book. You're not there. The book is not being published in your name.
Mm.
An ISBN is the model number in the
Oh,
publishing industry. So when someone gives you a free ISBN, it means they're giving you one of theirs. So you should run away the minute you see that. It sounds like a
oh
good feature,
wow.
but it's really not
Yeah.
a good promise. The other thing to look out for is if they pay you in a royalty, that means they're going to get the sales reports and the payments before you do. And you should also avoid that. There are companies that promise authors bestsellers and being in bookstores
Mm.
worldwide. That's also not truthful. It's highly unlikely that your book will be a bestseller. When you see somebody claiming to be a best-selling author more often than not today, again, unfortunately, it means that they tricked Amazon's algorithm in order to get that bestseller tag up there for about 45
Mm.
minutes, but it doesn't necessarily mean they were a real bestseller. So all of these things are a play on author emotions and they're just essentially
Hmm.
dishonest. So when you see those, just
Yeah,
kind of remember that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I think that those things can be applied to any type of purchasing because even like when you're taking like computer classes and things and you're learning about scammers, it's like, okay, it's emotional and it's right now.
Yes.
You got to act now, today, right now.
Yeah.
You get it's guaranteed this. And you start feeling all like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And before you know it, you're in a huge jam.
And I think it works too. Those high pressure follow-ups. I've talked to a number of authors who just said they wouldn't leave me alone until I signed up. And it's like, well,
Mm,
that's a red flag too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. So, I do have a few cliche questions that I like to ask everybody. They're my three cliche questions to close out. So, the first one is if you can think of a time when you were younger and you were in a darker space, what's one piece of advice that you know now that you wish you would have known at that time?
Listen to your gut, right? We hear that all
Mm,
the time, but your gut is always honest with you. And when you find yourself about any situation, just pushing that away and saying, no, I don't want to think about that, and that message just keeps coming back, pay attention. It's
mm.
important.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Second question is the internet and podcasts, all these things work in very mysterious ways. So we never know who's going to listen to this. We never know who it's going to get across. Is there any body, person, or client group or organization that you would really like to work with if this did come across their day?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I never really gave that any thought. Our focus has been just, for 25 years now on the individual author. So I don't know, but I'm open to talk to anybody about anything.
Fair enough. I love that answer too. All right. So, the last question, of course, I'm going to put your links in the description and things, but if someone wants to work with you, learn more, get in contact, what is the best way to do so?
Just go to our website at 1106design.com, 1106design.com. And when you go there, you'll be able to download my free book called Publish Like the Pros. And that's most of the tips that I've given here, and then some. And so I just want every author to be educated. And if we can have your business, that's great. But if I educated you, I feel like that's good enough too.
Absolutely. And I'll give you, like I give my students and my guest, a signature round of applause for a great conversation, plenty of education, and things that will definitely help people along the way. Before we go, though, because I know sometimes at the end it's like, oh, wait, I wanted to say this, I meant to say that. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell us or leave us off with, or anything you forgot to mention, but you wanted to?
Well, yeah, I guess I could add that if you have questions, you can always contact us again through the website, and you don't have to make a commitment to work with us in order to get information. I'm happy to get on the phone with anybody and just educate and answer questions. Maybe I'll save you from one of these predatory publishers. You never know. So don't hesitate. In other words, don't feel obligated that you have to work with us in order to get our expertise. Just reach out. We're happy to help you.
Absolutely. Oh, and I actually have one more quick question for you. 1106, why that number?
Well, when I got divorced in 2001, I could not find a domain name for the work we were doing, so I used my birthday.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. All righty. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining. I know that I personally learned a lot from today, and I know that anybody listening definitely learned a lot as well. So I just wanted to thank you, and I'm wishing you a lot of luck.
Thank you, Yana.
All right, of course, and we'll be back next time for another episode of Healed and Chilled.